Stewart, the 2022 TIPA Hall of Fame. Coming up, Fred.
This is pretty exciting. Not used to doing anything like this or receiving any type of recognition like this, but it's great. Some of the things about this organization that I'd really like to say, those of you, the advisors that have been here for a while and you're accustomed to hearing me say and make the announcements and so forth, and saying that this is probably, at least in my opinion, and I've been exposed to other state and national press associations, but as far as a state or even a regional press association goes, this is the best one. And without this huge audience of the group that I want to mention first, the advisors, this would never happen. It would never take place. And I want to say something to all of the advisors. You guys, and like I've told you, every single convention, you guys are awesome. You're quick to help, you're quick to chip in, you're quick to expand your comfort zone, if you will. You're quick to make things right. Hotels used to love having us come because we didn't complain about anything. If we had a mix-up, if we had something break, the advisors were there, Johnny on the spot. They would take care of it. They said, we'll make it work. And so that kind of became my motto, and I would tell my students this at A&M Commerce and so forth, and when they would come in and they want to be on the paper or whatever, I'd always ask them the first question. I'd say, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it didn't matter if the student was 18, 19, or one time I had a student that was 63 years old. And I asked him, I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so my philosophy was always to find out what that student wanted to do, what their ultimate goal was, and then we'll work towards it. Try to show you the ways to work towards it, show you the ways to take those steps. And that's what we tried to bring across to the conference here with TIPA. And it was exciting to work with the advisors because the advisors had basically that same philosophy. Every advisor had basically that same philosophy. What do you want to do? What do you want to learn? Let me show you, let me help you, and so on. And I can't express enough appreciation to the advisors, to the current administration, if you will, with Robert as executive director, and Julie and Jill and Nicole. You guys are going to do great. There's nothing to worry about. It's a piece of cake. Just be sure you allow time on Friday night after everything's over to sit down and have a few favorite beverages, and it'll all be over in no time. The pain hurts only for a little while. So it's good. But this was something that as I retired, since I retired, this is the one area that I had mentioned to my wife, that's what I'm going to miss the most, is being able to be involved with TIPA, being able to come to the conventions, being able to work with the advisors, and see the advisors that literally we've made lifelong friendships with. We only got to see each other, as Robert mentioned, maybe once or twice a year, but we were always just an email or a text away or a phone call away, and you maintained that friendship. And it was I felt like such a close-knit group that sometimes I would be asked, well, who's the advisor at such and such school? I knew all of the advisors by sight, by first name, knew a little bit about their program, and I always thought that helped keep us closer together and keep us working together. We respected each other, we took care of each other, and so on. And I think advisors, for you, I think that's very important, and I truly appreciate it. I admire you for it. I totally respect you for it. And I think you're doing a great service, and keep it up. As Robert mentioned, yes, he was one of my former students. What was the feature photo contest this year?
Daniel did it.
Daniel, what was the feature photo contest?
It was like, we basically got 5 topics.
Okay.
We had to, like, what kind of town Fort Worth is.
Okay.
And just go out and find it.
When the first TIPA that Robert was one of my students, the first TIPA that we went to was at College Station. A&M was the host. And Robert was our photography intern. And so about midday or so, I'm standing outside and wondering, watching the contestants come in and so forth. And here comes Robert walking up the area in front of the hotel. And I said, Robert, are you finished? He goes, yeah, I just finished. I said, well, what was the topic? And as Robert mentioned to you, he had a little bit longer hair. I said, Robert, what was your subject matter? He pulled his hair back and he goes, the wind. And walked off and went on into the darkness for us. So the idea of the contest and all at this convention has always been something that we tried to make kind of creative. We wanted, my goal with this convention was to make it not only an important state convention, but make it something that was along the caliber of even a national convention. Because we have a lot of schools that could not go to CMA. They couldn't go to some of the SPJ conventions and things like this. They didn't have that opportunity, didn't have the finances. And so we tried to put together a convention with workshops, with contests and so forth that would give the students the best experience that they could imagine. And students, I want to mention something to you now about the advisors. The advisors, as I mentioned, they are awesome. Listen to them, talk to them, get to know them. They know more than many of you realize. They are helpful, they are mentors, they are psychologists. You can cry on their shoulder, whatever, but listen to them, pay attention to them. They will help you, they've got the contacts, and if an advisor says, what do you want to be when you grow up? Tell them, if you want to be with the New York Times, that's great, go for it. That advisor will take that into their thoughts and so forth and say, okay, how can I help that student reach that goal? And so pay attention to them, listen to them. They're there to help you, they have the contacts. If you're looking for an internship, they know people. If you're looking for a job, they know people. They have people that they can call. One of my first newspaper jobs, I had gotten out of college, dropped out of college for a while, decided to take some journalism classes because a close friend of mine named Miller Bonner, who was at Texas Tech, Miller Bonner talked me into taking a journalism class in high school. I took one journalism class. That was a lot of fun, covering sports, because it was so cool to be able to sit down on press row, even though it was a high school game, and cover that sporting event. And so he encouraged me to take a journalism class. So I ended up taking a journalism class, my first journalism class, at Tarrant County Junior College Northeast. And one person that made a tremendous impact on my life was Eddie Gallagher. And even now, that was around 1972, 73, something like that. And even now, we're still friends, we're close friends. I think we have a mutual respect for each other. And Eddie has always been there. That's what an advisor does. When I moved out of state, whenever I would come back to visit, I would always make it a point to go by Tarrant County and go into the journalism program and visit and say, how you doing? This is what I'm doing. So after taking a class, or 2 classes, a beginning reporting class and Eddie's grueling editing class, I thought, okay, they had entered a sports feature story for me. They'd entered it in TCCJA and they'd entered it in TIPA. Luckily, I won first place in both of them. So I thought I was on a roll. So I decided that I was going to take a newspaper job. So I took my first newspaper job in Mount Pleasant, Texas, in a small daily paper, made $68 a week, paid rent, paid for a car, and living expenses on $68 a week. But I learned everything. I covered sports, I covered news, I covered the cop shop, I chased fire trucks, and my wife will laugh, my ears perk up when I hear a siren. And so that gave me a lot of experience. Stayed there a couple of years, came back, went to Tarrant County to visit Eddie Gallagher and Joe Norton. And again, to give you an example of what the advisors can do, I said, I'd like to move back into the area. At that time, Joe Norton said, just a minute. He picked up the phone, called the local newspaper, said, the editor wants to see you this afternoon. I went down and talked to the editor and got a job. It was a 5-day daily, just on a phone call. That's what an advisor does, guys. Talk to them, listen to them, respect them, take advantage of them. And then when you graduate, come back. Come back, visit your advisors, come back to TIPA. One of the things that we tried to pride ourselves on in doing the workshops was to have former students come back and conduct workshops, because those former students are closest to your age and you can see where they have been. One of the guys on the video, James Bright, James was a tremendous editor. And yes, they made some problems, they made some mistakes, but by the time he was ready to graduate, he could have gone to just about any job he wanted. After a couple of stories, and after one story in particular, I got phone calls from editors as far away as Alaska saying, I just read about your editor because a story that they had covered ended up making national news. We had a problem with our football team, and the story ended up making national news. And James was constantly fielding calls from the press, not just local press, USA Today, Newsweek, Sports Illustrated, ESPN, and so forth. And the way that he handled himself so professionally, it went online, it went on the internet, and I had editors from as far away as Alaska come and say, tell me about this James Bright guy. So that's something, and they talked to the advisor, and I told them all about James. Your advisors know about you. They know your strengths, they know your weaknesses, your likes, your dislikes. They are a tremendous, very important step in your career. Listen to them. So, with this recognition for Hall of Fame for TIPA, I truly appreciate it. It's something new to me. I really don't know how to accept recognition like that too much. But I truly appreciate it, and I hope all of you are as passionate, as eager, as dedicated to the Press Association, especially to this organization, as I am. I hope that you have a tremendous success, and I hope you do come back, because remember, give back. It's the circle of life, so to speak. And it's exciting because when I see Robert as a former student, when I see Mandy Smith from Northeast Texas Community as a former student, when I see Daniel from Northeast Texas as a former student, it's exciting to know that they're doing something they love, something that is exciting for them, and they are giving back to you, the students, things that they liked, things that they feel is important to know, and because it's an important livelihood, it's an important mission. The student press has become the target of so much negativity over the years. The Press Association is something that can get together, can be stronger, can get the support from the commercial media and so forth, and make it a lot stronger, a lot easier for you guys to move on. So students, thank you for coming. Thank you for being who you are and where you are at this time. Talk to your advisors. Don't give up. Don't take slack. Don't take the easy way out. Be an aggressive journalist. If you want to get involved with being an influencer, that's okay, but do that on your own time. Be a journalist first, and the advisors will be there to help you. They'll be there to push you along the way. Or if they have a vicious editing pen like Eddie Gallagher had. They will show you the rights and the wrongs, and so forth. Again, thank you very much, Robert, so forth. Julie, you guys, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Enjoy the convention, and good luck in the future.